My wife has a friend. We can call her Berta. Berta likes to show up unannounced, often in an emergency and late at night. My wife has been friends with Berta for years and through rougher circumstances. I've seen my wife wake me up and herself up in the middle of the night to go pick up Berta from the airport. We've offered Berta a place to stay on our couch in the past. The problem is Berta never really asks, nor does my wife. I show up, she is already there, and my wife asks if it's okay she uses our bathroom to get ready for work, but doesn't ask if it's okay Berta even stay the night. Berta has stayed a few nights now. Each day she waits until evening and I say something, and my wife says that the day is included in asking to stay for the night. Then another night passes. I came home today, after a stressful day, and expected to get some privacy. I go to my bedroom and Berta is sleeping in my bed with my wife. Talking about their day, I passive-aggressively texted my wife that I had to take a massive stinking crap, and I hope Berta doesn't mind hearing or smelling it. Both got upset. I feel like my boundaries and consent are being violated. I'm tired. I just want to be home at peace. I just want to be gross in peace. I want quiet again in my home so I can grade. I want to watch my shows in peace. My wife thinks I'm being cruel, that I have too many rules and like she can't have friends. Only today she let me know Berta is homeless and has nowhere to go. So I guess she is staying longer? My wife says, since it's her house too, I can't say what happens with her guests. Money is tight for us as is. I support us on my own income, and Berta uses a lot of electricity while I'm at work and eats our food. I'm upset. My wife didn't tell me this before I said yes. I want my wife to have friends, I really do. But this friend overstayed her welcome. Am I the idiot for asking my wife to make this friend leave? Update. I attempted to talk to my wife about it, but she didn't want to talk about it with the friend around. So she and Bertha continued last night watching TV loudly in the living room while I was working. Finally, I got up and took the car and left. I just needed to get out. I went for a drive and let my wife know why I was leaving. Bertha left. When I got home, my wife and I talked for 3 hours. I talked to family and friends, and they agreed with me. My wife reassured me there's no romantic sexual things, but she feels guilty for the friend because my wife was in a similar situation in the past. The situation reads as very codependent to me, and I tried to explain to my wife the best that I could that this codependency is impacting me and our marriage. That it's okay she wants to support her friend, but that needs boundaries, parameters, and I need to feel like I can say no, and that if she wants to continue her friendship with Bertha, she will be doing it somewhere other than my house. I made it clear I don't like her. I don't like how my wife treats me around her, and if she wants to continue, she needs to do so elsewhere. And as for the tension around me paying for everything, I let her know that it would make me less stressed if she did find a job. That if she can't understand wanting to come home and unwind, then maybe she needs to see how hard work is. Because I need that empathy as the bare minimum from a partner. The lack of caring about my comfort or privacy is what concerns me, especially given our financial situation. She seemed to understand. We worked through it, and I'm looking into couples therapy for both of us, so we have the language tools to work through it. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You aren't saying she can't have friends. You are asking that certain boundaries be put in place, like Bertha doesn't belong in your bed. The courtesy of being a good friend, she needs a ride in the middle of the night, but it wasn't prearranged, is straight up rude. Your wife needs to realize that the home is also yours, and you have the right to set those boundaries as well. Seems like when you married, you also married Bertha. Not the idiot. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Set a date for when Bertha needs to leave. 48 hours is a good amount of time. Be ready to change the locks if needed. If your wife is so concerned with Bertha, she is welcome to go crash with her somewhere else. Are we sure Bertha isn't sleeping with your wife? Why is she in your bed? Who the F does that? Now, for the update. Hey Reddit, back again with an update on the Bertha situation. It's been a week since my last post, and oh boy, things have taken some turns. So, after that long talk with my wife, things seem to be getting better. She agreed that Bertha needed to find another place to stay, and we were both looking into couples therapy. I thought we were finally on the same page. But then, 2 days ago, I came home from work to find Bertha's car parked outside. My heart sank. I walked in, and there they were, my wife and Bertha, sitting at the kitchen table, looking like they were in the middle of a serious conversation. I could feel the tension in the air. My wife looked up, her eyes pleading with me to understand. Bertha quickly excused herself and went to the guest room. Yeah, she wasn't in our bed this time, but but it didn't make me feel any better. My wife explained that Berta had nowhere else to go and that she had just lost her job. I was frustrated, feeling like we were back to square one. I reminded my wife about our conversation and the boundaries we had agreed on. She said she remembered, but she just couldn't turn her back on a friend in need. I couldn't believe it. Now, let me give you a bit of history about my wife and Berta. They've been through some tough times together. Years ago, before I met my wife, she was in a similar situation to Berta, struggling to make ends meet, no place to call home. Berta was the one who helped her out back then. They've been inseparable ever since. I guess that's why my wife feels so indebted to her. But here's the new development. The next day, I came home early from work, planning to have another discussion with my wife about the whole situation. As I walked in, I heard laughter coming from the living room. I peeked around the corner and saw my wife and Berta sitting way too close on the couch, sharing a bottle of wine. My mind raced with thoughts. Was there something more going on between them? I confronted them right there and then. The room went silent. My wife's face turned red with anger, and Berta looked like she was about to cry. My wife stood up and started yelling at me, saying I was being paranoid and ridiculous. Berta got up and stormed out of the house, slamming the door behind her. After she left, my wife and I had a heated argument. She couldn't believe I would question her loyalty to me. She reminded me of the time when she had to pick up Berta from a bad date gone wrong, how she had to console her after a terrible breakup, and how they supported each other when they both lost their jobs at the same time years ago. She said their friendship was just that, a friendship. I felt like a jerk. I apologized for jumping to conclusions, but the damage was done. My wife was hurt, and I felt guilty for not trusting her. We agreed to sleep on it and talk more in the morning. The next day, we sat down and had a calm discussion. My wife explained that Berta was going through a rough patch and that she just wanted to be there for her, like Berta had been for her in the past. She promised that they would set a deadline for Berta to move out and that she would help her look for a job. I agreed, but I made it clear that we needed to stick to the deadline, no matter what. My wife understood and apologized for not being more considerate of my feelings. We hugged it out, and I felt like we were finally moving forward. But just when I thought things were settling down, another surprise hit us. This morning, I found a note from Berta on the kitchen counter. She apologized for all the trouble she had caused and said she had found a place to stay with another friend. She also left some money to cover the extra expenses she had caused. I was shocked. I didn't expect her to leave so suddenly or to leave money behind. I showed the note to my wife, and she was just as surprised as I was. We both felt a mix of relief and sadness. Berta had been a big part of our lives, and despite the recent drama, we hoped she would be okay. So that's where we are now. Berta is gone. My wife and I are working on our relationship, and we're still planning to start couples therapy. It's been a crazy week, but I'm hopeful that we're on the right track. Oh, and about that misunderstanding. Turns out the reason Berta was laughing and sitting close to my wife was that she was showing her a funny video on her phone. They were laughing at a cat doing something silly, not sharing some intimate moment. I felt pretty foolish for jumping to conclusions. My sister's wedding was a mess. Venue double booked and lights went out. Her ex showed up, but we turned the tables and she'll never guess how. I, 29-year-old female, and my business partner, 34-year-old female, run a wedding planning and coordination business. For context, we have several different packages, but it breaks down to basically option A. We plan your wedding start to finish. Or option B, you plan your wedding, and we are there on the day of to execute the timeline, coordinate vendors, etc., to make sure the day runs smoothly and you have no stress. Here's what happened with one of our package B clients. The ceremony begins at 6 p.m. in a different area on the same property, and the bride was told that not only would she be the only wedding in the room that she booked on that day, but that because she was the only wedding in that room that day, she would also be able to go in there prior to her ceremony to take photos, as all vendors had ample time to complete the room setup. Normally these photos would happen during cocktail hour, but she didn't want to miss out on that, so we were trying to accommodate her, and it should have been no issue, considering she was told that she was the only wedding that day. Yesterday, we received an email from the florist stating that they couldn't gain access to the reception room, according to the venue, until 5:45 p.m., as there is another wedding occurring in the same room, and it ends at 5:45 p.m. Normally, this would be fine, and we would simply rearrange timings and notify the vendors so that they can allocate additional personnel to account for a short setup time. So we called the client and asked if she was aware of this. We understand now that she should have called the venue first to confirm this. However, it ended up being accurate, so it wouldn't have made a difference. She was not, and was incredibly upset. She and her father called the venue, and apparently went off on them. The venue event specialist then called my partner and scolded her for telling the client, stating that telling her the week of her wedding was bad coordinating practice and that we should have just let it go and then hung up on her without letting her speak. After speaking with my partner about this phone call, I called the event specialist myself to get a feel for what was going on from his point of view. He gave me the same treatment, would not allow me to speak, and hung up on me. Immediately after, we attempted to call the bride at 5:50 p.m, but she didn't answer. So we sent her a text to please call us, which she also did not answer. An hour later, we sent another text to the group chat we have with her and her MOH, her sister, asking to please call us, but neither one of them has responded. It is now 12 p.m. the next day, and she still has not texted or called, and we're supposed to have our final call this evening. So, am I the idiot for telling her that she wouldn't be able to take photos in the reception room prior to her ceremony because the venue booked another wedding during the day and we wouldn't be able to have the room set up completed in time? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. And the bride was told that not only would she be the only wedding in the room that she booked on that day. Sounds to me like the venue got caught in a lie to the bride. You are not the jerk, NTA, but everyone seems to be blaming you, and that's not fair. Guess you've stumbled upon an industry secret and can, for future weddings, advise your brides accordingly, because apparently venues can lie. Comment 2. Not the idiot at all. You can manage around this, but I would take the event specialist to task and go to their manager about how you were treated. It's a two-way business relationship, and you can stop using their venue. Does this venue send you clients? If so, you still should talk to the manager and do damage control. This specialist has it out for you over what is their mistake. Now for the update. Hey everyone, it's been a month since my last post about the wedding planning fiasco, and oh boy, do I have an update for you all. Buckle up, because this has been a rough ride. After the bride and her MOH ghosted us for a full day, they finally got back to us the evening before the wedding. Turns out, the bride had been in a full-blown panic attack, and her sister was trying to calm her down. They were both furious, not just with the venue, but with us too, for not somehow foreseeing this disaster. It was a mess. We had a tense call that night, with the bride's father joining in. He had a history of being a hothead, and this situation was no different. He accused us of ruining his daughter's big day, and despite our attempts to explain the situation, he wasn't having any of it. We ended the call with a shaky plan to try and salvage the situation. The next day, the wedding day, was chaos. We arrived early to find the previous wedding still in full swing. The other couple had extended their time without notifying the venue, and the staff was scrambling. My partner and I jumped into action, coordinating with the florist, who had brought extra help, and the venue staff to turn the room around in record time. As we were in the thick of it, the bride arrived for her pre-ceremony photos, only to find the room half set and her special day in jeopardy. She was on the verge of tears, and her mother, who had always been the more level-headed one, tried to soothe her. It was then that the bride's ex showed up, uninvited, causing a scene. He was still in love with her and had chosen this moment to try and win her back. The confrontation was intense. The bride's current groom, who had been friends with the ex before the breakup, stepped in, and there was a heated exchange. Security had to escort the ex out, but the damage was done. The atmosphere was tense, and the bride was more stressed than ever. Despite the drama, we managed to get the room ready just in time for the ceremony. The bride walked down the aisle, looking radiant, but those of us behind the scenes knew the smile was forced. The ceremony itself was beautiful though, and for a moment it seemed like everything would be okay. During the reception, the bride's father approached us. His demeanor had changed. He apologized for his earlier outburst and thanked us for pulling everything together against all odds. It was a surprising turn of events, and we were grateful for the acknowledgement. The night went on, and the reception was a hit. The guests were none the wiser about the earlier chaos. The bride and groom shared their first dance, and there was a sense of relief in the air. But then, the power went out. A transformer had blown, and the whole block was dark. We scrambled again, this time with the help of the venue's emergency lights, and some quick-thinking staff who brought out candles and flashlights. It was an impromptu candlelit affair, and surprisingly, it turned into a romantic highlight. The guests danced in the dim light, and the bride and groom seemed to forget the day's troubles, lost in each other's arms. As the power came back and the night drew to a close, the bride pulled us aside. She was exhausted, but grateful. She admitted that while the day hadn't gone as planned, it was memorable and unique, thanks to our efforts. She hugged us, and in that moment, all the stress seemed worth it. But here's the bittersweet part. After the wedding, our business took a hit. Rumors about the day's chaos spread, and we lost a few potential clients who were spooked by the hearsay. It was a tough pill to swallow, considering how hard we worked to make the best of a bad situation. We're still here, still planning weddings, and we've learned a lot from this experience. We've tightened our contracts and now have stricter communication requirements with venues. It's been a tough lesson, but we're determined to come back stronger. Husband ignores our sky-high bills, so I cut off the water. His daughter's showers cost us big, but the price we'll pay is even higher. My husband and I got married 3 years ago and now have a 2-month-old daughter. We were best friends for 6 years prior to this. He has a 12-year-old daughter with his ex, and she's honestly great. I love everything about that girl, outside of her shower usage. So, she showers twice a day, once before school and once around 5 p.m. She stays in there for 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes every single time. Our hot water is electric, and her shower usage has raised our bill to nearly $600 a month for the past 4 months. Whenever I talk to her dad about it, I'm met with, "It's something we have to get used to because I'm not going to tell her she can't shower." She uses all the hot water and considers she showers around dinner time, and the kitchen sink affects the temperature of the shower. She's constantly screaming out of the bathroom to turn off the kitchen sink when I'm literally trying to cook and need the water to do so. I've told her several times to not use the shower during the hours of 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. so I can cook/do dishes, but she always claims to forget. Or gets extremely pissed off and causes a bunch of tension in the house because she feels gross and needs a shower right that minute. I'm starting to grow resentful because there have been several times I have attempted to bathe our daughter/bathe myself or do the dishes, and there's been no hot water. My husband also takes 2 showers a day, once before work and once immediately following work. He comes home at 6. He also complains because when he gets home, there's no hot water, but he never says anything to his daughter. But recently, they cut my husband's hours down to half the time he usually had, because the company is threatening to go under, so the financial responsibilities have been 80% on my shoulders. I own my own business. It used to be 50-50. I told him that since I'm now paying significantly more than he is, I refuse to pay this much for electric, and him and his daughter both will be limited to 1 shower a day for no more than a half hour. I told his daughter this as well. Both are calling me controlling and have disregarded everything I said and still shower twice a day for 45+ minutes. So I left and told them to figure out how to pay for everything. I'm currently staying at my mom's with the baby. He says I'm an AH because I just left them in a trying time, all because I want to control their showering. That's not it at all. They are financially ruining me, and I'm not putting up with it anymore. I literally have maybe $200 a month after I pay all the bills, and a baby that needs diapers. This is gross, but I've literally only been able to shower twice without the baby since I had her because of them. I either bathe her or bathe myself thoroughly, and I need to bathe the baby because she's super chunky and gets stuff trapped in the rolls and gets rashes. Edited to add, this wasn't normal until recently. Stepdaughter moved in with us in September for school because her mom moved out of district and she wanted to stay in the same school. So this is all new to me. My husband always showered twice a day, but the bill was still significantly less because his showers usually don't exceed 20 minutes. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Honestly, I take 2 showers a day in the summer, but these showers generally run about 10 minutes. Sometimes 15 minutes. I don't know what the weather is like where you are, but there is no justification for showering 45 minutes twice a day, both of them. This is a learned behavior, but what are they doing in the shower that long? If they are relaxing in the shower, then perhaps they can shift to a short early shower and a relaxing bath when they get home. This isn't fair to you at all. I'm sorry, OP. Comment 2. Is this a cleanliness thing where she is spending the entire time actively washing herself, or is she messing around in there? That much time spent scrubbing seems like it would be harsh on the skin, scalp, hair. If she wants to relax, can she take a bath instead? Not to be graphic, too much information, but is there any chance that she is entering puberty and may have discovered things to do in the shower, especially if you have a handheld shower head? Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments on my last post. I never expected my shower saga to get so much attention, but here we are. Buckle up, because the past 3 days have been a roller coaster. After I left for my mom's, things got even more heated. My husband, let's call him Mark, tried to reach out to me, but I was firm on my stance. I couldn't believe that after all the years of friendship and 3 years of marriage, it would come down to something as ridiculous as shower times. But it wasn't just about the showers, was it? It was about respect, or the lack thereof. I thought back to when we first got married, how we'd promised to support each other. Mark had been so understanding when I started my own business, and I'd been there for him through his job struggles. But now, with our financial burdens and his daughter's, let's call her Lily, excessive showering, it felt like all that support had washed down the drain. 2 days ago, I got a call from Lily. She was crying, saying she missed me and her baby sister. My heart ached. Despite everything, I cared for her deeply. She confessed something that left me reeling. Mark had been telling her that the long showers were okay, that I was just being difficult. He'd even said that my business would cover the costs, so she shouldn't worry. I was floored. This wasn't the man I married, the man who'd always preached about teamwork and communication. Yesterday, I decided to confront Mark. I went back to the house while he was at work, and we had it out. I told him what Lily had said, and he didn't deny it. Instead, he accused me of trying to drive a wedge between him and his daughter. The argument was intense, with accusations flying. I couldn't believe he'd betrayed my trust, making me out to be the villain in his daughter's eyes. But then, the surprise dropped. Mark admitted that he'd been feeling insecure about the cut in his hours and his ability to provide. He'd been overcompensating by allowing Lily whatever she wanted, including the long showers. It was his way of feeling in control of something when everything else was slipping away. I was stunned. All this time, the showers were just a symptom of a deeper issue. We were interrupted by the sound of the front door. Lily had come home early from school. She found us mid-argument and, for the first time, saw the tension between us. She was shocked, having never witnessed anything like this before. Mark and I paused, realizing the impact our fight was having on her. In a surprising turn, Lily spoke up. She admitted that she'd been taking advantage of the situation, knowing that her dad wouldn't say no to her. She offered to cut down her showers and even suggested a schedule that would work for everyone. I was taken aback by her maturity. But the surprises didn't end there. Mark, perhaps seeing the error of his ways, apologized. He promised to talk to his boss about getting more hours or finding a second job. He also agreed to a family meeting every week to discuss finances and household rules, something we'd never done before. The tension in the house has eased a bit since then. We're all trying to adjust to the new shower schedule, and Mark has been making an effort to communicate better. It's not perfect, but it's a start. As for me, I'm still at my mom's. I need some space to think about everything that's happened. The betrayal stung, and while I appreciate the apologies and the steps toward change, I'm not sure if it's enough. Trust is fragile, and once it's broken, it's hard to put back together. I've been focusing on my business and taking care of our baby girl. She's been a little ray of sunshine through all this mess. I'm not sure what the future holds for Mark and me, but I know that whatever happens, I need to do what's best for my daughter and me. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.